Hello and welcome to the Introduction to the New National Professional Qualifications. This webinar is specifically looking at the specialist NPQs, Leading Teacher Development, Leading Teaching and Leading Behaviour and Culture. I'm Faye.Mcgill and I'm the Deputy Director of the Thames Gateway Teaching School Hub, and we're really excited to be giving you a little bit more information about the specialist NPQs so that you can make an informed decision about where you would like to develop your career. Originally, these were going to be individual sessions, but a number of you had booked up for the concurrent sessions, obviously want to find out about the whole suite. So we thought we would condense it and put it into one webinar or recording and put that out to you so that you can watch it at a time that suits you the best. So without further ado, I will tell you a little bit more about what we are offering this year for our NPQs. Okay, so I will start by going through the different courses. So basically we are working, Thames Gateway Teaching School Hub are working very closely with LC Leadership Learning South East, and they are our main provider. And they have obviously designed the curriculum from scratch following the reforms from the DFE. So their 5 key points, as you will see there on the screen, there are very clear, and I won't read them out to you because you can all read, but they are very, very keen to make sure that all of the courses are rooted deeply in research and that they are really relevant to what teachers and leaders are doing in the school environment. So that's kind of building on the work that's gone previously, but really making sure that it's about sustainable change and sustainable improvement in the leaders of your schools. Okay, so what does it look like? As I said, there have been some quite significant changes. So for the specialist NPQ, so Leading Teacher Development, Leading Teaching and Behaviour and Culture, the courses will all last for 12 months, so 12 calendar months, and you will have the opportunity to start them either this November or the following February 2022. And obviously you can make that decision that best fits with your school calendar and personal preference. The courses are divided into 3 learning blocks. So over the course of the study, you will work through the learning blocks leading up to the assessment at the end, which I'll come back to in a minute. So what do the learning blocks look like and what's the time commitment for you as an individual or for you as a school? So each learning block will have one face-to-face session that will be 3.5 hours long. So effectively half a day out of the school environment. That will be supplemented by 2 webinar sessions that are 1.5 hours per session. So you've got another 3 hours of teaching time there. They will be at various different times throughout the course of that module. There is then a comprehensive online learning component that you will be expected to work through, and that can be worked through at your own pace and at times that are convenient to you. So we're keeping that kind of flexible element that we've all got so used to throughout the pandemic. So you will have that freedom there. And then there will be an in-school coaching session. Now, the in-school coaching sessions are much more directed throughout these specialist courses, so that it will not just be you meeting with someone in school and talking quite broadly about your progress. It will be very specific, and it will be based on topics that you will have either looked at in your face-to-face session, or webinar session, or from the online component. So there is a requirement there, if you like, for the in-school coach, that the school decide who that will be, to stay on top of the reading and stay on top of the sessions that you are covering, so that they can really engage in that debate with you about how you're forming your learning and how that's having a real impact on your day-to-day practice. So that's something to think about, some quite big changes there. In terms of the structure of the course and the structure of the assessment, again, the assessment is a big change. So you will have been used to, or you may have heard previous cohorts talk about the fact that they ran a project and they had to have a sponsor through the project, and then they wrote the project up and had to evaluate it and collect results and data and all of those things that we're used to doing. However, that has been removed from all of the specialist NPQs now, and what you will find in its place is a 1,500-word response to a case study. So basically you will have an online case study presented to you with a number of questions, and you will be expected to construct that response. Now, there is a time limit to that, so there will be a release date, and then from the release date you will have an 8-day window to complete that assessment, and then obviously that will get marked and you will get the feedback from that, you know, either pass or not been successful this time. So that's really something to bear in mind. And in terms of timing, that assessment comes right at the end of the programme, and there are a number of months in between finishing the course and the assessment. So again, it's about how you've retained that knowledge and perhaps how you've adapted that and used it within your daily practice. So I'm going to look now specifically, that outline that I've just given you is the same for all the NPQs, so that doesn't change. So leading teaching, leading teacher development and behaviour and culture all follow that exact same pattern of the 3 modules over 12 months. So briefly then, so the leading teacher development. So the leading teacher development is very specifically for those teachers who are aspiring to have or have responsibility for leading the development of others in schools. The DFE are quite keen to pinpoint that could also include those that are in charge of trainees or people on the early careers framework or early careers teachers. So that's something to really think about. The leading teacher development is probably the most similar to the senior leadership level. I think it's worth, just before I go on, noting that the old middle leader course does not exist, and none of the specialist NPQs look at kind of the practicalities of being a middle leader. So, you know, timetabling, difficult conversations with people, etc., etc., etc. They are very, very specialist, and that's really something to bear in mind. And they don't necessarily sit neatly in the place of the middle leadership, and they're in some ways somewhere between middle leadership and senior leadership. So in terms of who they're appropriate for, hopefully that widens the field of who they're appropriate for. But again, it does really make you think about where your specialism lies and where you want to develop. So the leading teacher development is definitely for those people who are perhaps already a senior leader or an aspiring senior leader, and they have responsibility over professional development for a group of staff that is bigger than a department level. So as I said before, they're looking at early careers teachers or trainees, or they're looking at whole school teacher development, PD, and how that operates and what the culture of training and professional development is within your organisation. The NPQ LTD is fully funded, so you can put as many people as you like in it from your school, and the government are going to pick up the tab for that, which is obviously really positive. So leading teacher development then is for teachers who are aspiring to have or have responsibility for teaching in a subject, leading teaching in a subject, a year group, a key stage or phase. And again, you'll see there the key areas of study down the side. You've got 9 key areas of study that you will look at. I think it's safe to say that this course is really for people who have a thirst for knowledge or a thirst for developing actual teaching and learning practice in the classroom. So they want to debate the theories, the ideas that are coming from research. They want to try them out in practice, and they want to feed back on what works and what doesn't work, specifically for the area or the subject that they work in. So we've obviously worked really closely with Elsie, and they've made the point that when we're looking at the cohorts going through this course, it would be really useful if we could think about like subjects or key stages, so that when you are in your training, you have got the chance to talk to people that are trying to deliver the same material as you are, or very similar material to you are, so that you can really develop what practice works best in the English secondary classroom or the primary maths classroom. So again, I don't want to labour the point, but it is really for those people who have a keen interest and a sort of a delight in thinking about teaching and learning and what works and what really helps our young people progress. So the funding for the leading teaching is slightly different. So it is fully funded if your school falls into the top 30% for pupil premium students. Hopefully you will know that. If you don't know that, there is a list on the DFE website under the NPQs. It's the eligibility list. You can see if your school or academy comes under that. And obviously you are entitled for that to be fully funded. If your school is not in this category, then the cost of the course is £895, and that covers obviously the whole year on the course. Okay, so the leading behaviour and culture, again, quite different from the other two, is based primarily for people that are looking at leading behaviour in school and supporting pupils' well-being in the school. So year leads, support, pastoral leaders, all of those people that are responsible for really developing the young people outside of the classroom and setting the ethos for behaviour across the school. You'll see there 6 key areas of study, so slightly less than on the teaching and learning, all linked to behaviour, all linked to sometimes the complex needs that we see in behaviour and how that you train your staff in order to be able to deal with that and to support the young people that come through your doors. So it is primarily pastoral. There will be a wide range of areas studied, so behaviour, relationships, well-being, welfare of students. It's about exploring how you build and maintain the right culture for behaviour within your school, both inside and outside of the classroom. While the course does look at teaching and learning in terms of the ideas of high expectations and how we support young people to reach those high expectations, the primary focus is on supporting pupils' behaviour and well-being. So it is definitely for those that have an interest or a thirst to be involved in pastoral development, as opposed to the ones that we've already talked about that are primarily teaching and learning. In terms of the funding, again, similar situation. If your school fall into the top 30% for pupil premium, then you will be funded, your school will be funded. And as I said before, you can find that list on the DFE. If your school is not in this category, then the cost of the course is £895. So in summary, leading teacher development is probably the closest to the senior leader course, and that is primarily looking at how you develop a staff or a group of staff within your school. And as I said, it links very nicely to the early careers teacher framework if you have got mentors in school that are looking to take that step up. The leading teaching is specifically for those teachers who have a thirst for knowledge and a real kind of delight in exploring teaching and learning within the context of their classroom, their subject, their key stage, and they want to develop their strategies and their classroom teaching, basically. And then the leading behaviour and culture is specifically aimed at pastoral and behaviour development. So you are looking at setting that whole school ethos, how you maintain that, how you support children and their well-being, and how you give that wraparound care for people with additional needs. So very different courses, all very specialist, and all linked back to that key element of research and how you put that into practice within your school context and how you use it to develop and grow within the school. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a better overview. I know it's quite tricky when you've been used to looking at middle leaders and senior leaders. Perhaps it seemed more straightforward in the past. You know, we believe that working with LC, these courses are much more specialist, and they are going to give you a whole range of skills that mean that you can really thrive in an area that you are passionate about and you want to develop. So what are the next steps? So obviously, you know, some of you will be line managers here, some of you will be head teachers, some of you will be people that are just interested in taking these courses. So you do need to have sponsorship, you know, someone that is your line manager or your head teacher that agrees with your application. And that's whether the course is funded or not. We do need to know that someone in your school is happy to support you and happy to give you the time allocation so that you can complete the course. Please do visit the LC website. There is the application form there. If you click on NPQs, it's very clear. It says apply now. Click that button and that will take you through the process. And also refer you to the DFE site where you can finish the process there. The deadline for applications for the November start is Friday the 15th of October, so slightly less than a month to get your applications in. That's so that we have time to just have a quick look at the applications, but also so that we can make sure that our cohorts are offering enough capacity to fit you all in, basically, and that they are in the right location so that no one is travelling too far to get to where they need to be. I will just say on the application form, you will need to put Thames Gateway Teaching School Hub. It should come down in a drop-down box so that you know that you are working with us and with LC as a consequence of that. There will be another round of cohorts, so if you're not quite sure yet which one's for you, or if your school have said hold off for whatever reason, the next round of cohorts will start in February. So they will run February 2002 to February 2003. And obviously the November ones are November 2002 to November 2003. As I said before, hopefully this has been a helpful overview. I'm happy to share the slides if you want the slides separately, and equally happy to answer questions if you'd like to email us in Faye.Mcgill at tgtsh.org.uk, and I'm happy to answer any questions or have a quick Google catch up if that would be helpful. Many thanks for your time.